Kari Romeo, welcome. It's so great to be
Hello.
live with you.
Thank you so much, Gabriela. I'm really excited to be here. Does your audience
Hi.
know we're on opposite set ends of the earth?
Well, actually, that is a good point. So tell me where you are.
I'm in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'm in North Idaho, so where the panhandle goes up, I'm way up there by Canada.
That's cool.
Yeah,
And I'm in
it's beautiful
Stonehenge.
here. Absolutely beautiful here.
Isn't this great about technology that like I met you because I watched your incredible TED Talk on the inner critic and I reached out and we started chatting and here we are now in this broadcast studio connecting across the Atlantic and we never would have met if it hadn't been for YouTube.
I sometimes think about what a challenge the world would have been faced with if we didn't have technology during the pandemic. I mean, think about the loneliness factor of people if we didn't have this amazing means of talking to each other and
Yeah.
connecting. And it's not just talking on the phone, it's actually seeing because there's so
Mm.
much communication that happens from face, from hands.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive in. What's been really nice, Kari, is when I posted this interview, a lot of people have started sharing some of the limiting beliefs that they've been able to work through. So I would like to take you back to before you wrote Becoming Beautiful. So before you had the realizations that you share in the book.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going through with you mentioned right in the opening of that book, those debilitating beliefs. So I'd
Yeah.
love for you to give us a sense of where you were and how you were able to have that epiphany of like, it doesn't have to be like this.
So it wasn't a one day thing for the most part.
Yeah.
I have lived pretty much a pretty successful life, but I came from a pretty dysfunctional family, as most of us have. I don't think any family is really completely functional. And I felt invisible. My
Mm.
superpower, though, is that anytime I feel a fear, I tend to just like soldier right on through it. And so I've been successful through my life, but I've never enjoyed my success because I was always thinking I wasn't good enough. Surely I was going to be fired at the next moment. And my resume doesn't show that, but my heart did. Um,
Mm.
and it was really a very rapid thing that happened. It literally happened in the space of about 3 or 4 minutes. I was a manager of a natural food store, and I walked into a buyer's office, and my assistant manager was teaching somebody something, and it was something I should have known, and I didn't because my training had been terrible. My training had been really terrible, and I got mad, and I don't get mad very often, but I got viscerally angry. I got really angry, and I thought, why didn't I get taught that? And I
Mm.
immediately thought, oh, because my trainer was distracted and ended up being pulled out of training. So I was just stuck training myself. And then a second later, I realized every job I've ever had, my trainer was either sick, had to leave early, something happened, and I ended up training myself. And as I trained myself, then I would overachieve, then I would get promoted. And before I knew it, I was managing things. And I thought, why do I keep running into this pattern? Why do I keep doing this again and again and again, where I'm having to work so hard to prove myself?
Mm.
And something happened. And again, this whole thought process happened in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
And it hit me. I'm not trying to prove myself to anybody else. I'm trying to prove myself to me. And I went, I don't need to do that anymore. I am enough. I don't need to do that anymore. It was like a light switch went off.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
went into my office. I'm managing this huge store, and I went into my office and I locked the door and I just started crying. I said,
Yeah.
I don't need to do this anymore. And and I realized that I wore leadership like a shield. It kept everybody away, and I could just run scared through my life trying to make things happen
Mm.
and succeeding, but not enjoying it. And I
Mm.
took the shield off and I said, I'm ready to love life. I'm ready to love myself. I'm ready to move forward. And everything changed from there. Now, again, didn't happen overnight. took some processing. I had some ups and downs, you know, I still do, but I don't approach life from, I've got to prove it to everybody else or even myself. I've got to enjoy it. I've got to enjoy it. So I enjoy life now.
Kari, this is amazing. We're getting respect here. Sounds inspirational. So
thank you.
Let's go back, because I love the way you said a couple of times it didn't happen overnight. Because often when we read someone's book, we get a sense of like, oh, it was a kind of a step by step, and this was the journey, and it was all quite neat. So I want us to go back to the quote that I used, and I'm just going to pop it up on the screen again. I began the process of learning to like myself. So it wasn't like I learned to like myself straight away. It was like I began the process of learning to like myself.
Right.
It started with an inner tug. So like, how do you begin the process of learning to like yourself? And I'd love for you to also share a little bit of like, isn't it crazy that we actually have to learn something like that? So that's not a sort of like, oh, let's be all judgmental, but just to explain why we might have to learn to like ourselves and how we can begin that process.
If you think back to when you were a little girl, I'm sure you drew pictures or created something. Most of us as children, we create things or we create stories or anything like that. And we go to our parents and we say, look what I did. Look how beautiful this is. Look at my pretty picture. Look at my nice outfit. And our parents try to teach us humility, and they say, now don't brag. Don't put yourself out there. You should be concerned about other people. Most of our dogma says, be concerned about everybody else, but not about ourselves, because you don't want to be selfish. Now, most of our parents do their best that they can, but some of the subtle messages we get is that we shouldn't put ourselves first. We shouldn't put ourselves out there. We shouldn't put ourselves, in front of anybody else. The only place where we are told to take care of yourself first is on an airplane, when they say put your oxygen mask on yourself first. Everybody else says put other people first. But we don't have the capacity to put other people first if we haven't first taken care of ourselves. So the process for me, really, I started with my actual physical body. And I would look in the mirror and I'd say, what do I like about my body? And at the time, I didn't like anything. It didn't seem like it, but I thought, okay, there's got to be something. And I realized I liked my eyes. My eyes are my grandmother's eyes. And so I started focusing just simply on my eyes and what I appreciated about them. And I got into a state of gratitude about my eyes. And then I started saying, well, my eyes are nice, but I also have great skin, and it was just a process. And literally every day I would look at myself in the mirror. I would call myself by name. So I would say, Kari, good morning. I love you. I love your eyes. And this is what I appreciate about my eyes. And the next day I would say, Kari, I love you. I really, really like the fact that you have good, clean Norwegian skin, and I felt really silly doing it, but silly is a nice, elevated, happy emotion. So why not be silly? But I started telling myself, I love you. I would use my name, look myself in the eyes, and I would say, I love you. And it took a little while, but the more I did that, I began to actually believe it. And as I began to see the beauty in myself, and beauty, please, for your audience, understand, beauty isn't about makeup. It's not about curly or straight hair. It's not about what shade your lipstick is. Beauty is about your inner light. And when we let our inner light shine, I look at you and you glow because you're a happy person. It's not a mood, it's a state of being. And when you're in a happy state of being, you glow. And when you glow, you give others permission to glow as well. I like to say that I'm the light switch that helps other people find their light switch.
Well, because Kari, like if you've learned how to find the switch, then that gift can be passed on to other people. I want to pick up on that in terms of the happy state of being and the impact that that has, because there's a great analogy that you've written in Becoming Beautiful when you were in the Sistine Chapel and you were seeing how beautiful it was, and there was another woman in the Sistine Chapel and she couldn't see the beauty. Because someone might be like, yeah, but if I look in front of the mirror, there isn't anything that's beautiful. And it's like, it isn't what you're looking at, it's the way you're feeling about what you're looking at.
Exactly.
So, talk to me about this. It might be nice to share that story about the Sistine Chapel, just so people get a sense of like, oh, I get it, that I got to feel beauty to see beauty.
Yeah. So I was in the military for a long time, and I was leading a group of military wives. I was an officer in the military, so I was leading this group of military wives, and we went through the Vatican museums. And if you've never been to Rome and you get the chance to go to the Vatican museums, they're pretty stunning. But when you first walk in the door, all the way down the hallway, from floor to ceiling, is art. The ceilings, the floor, I mean, everything, it's all art. And there's so much of it, and it's so spectacular. The first time I saw it, I walked in and I started to weep. I mean, literally weep. But I took this group of women there, and you have to go all the way through the Vatican to get to the Sistine Chapel. And sometimes by the time you get there, you almost don't care anymore because there's so much art. But at the end of the day, when we were sitting at the dinner table at night, I said, wasn't that amazing? And one of the gals said, that was the most boring place I've ever been. And I was just startled. I thought, boring? How could you even think that? But when we are unhappy inside, we truly can't see happiness or beauty outside. And I know this woman wasn't particularly happy, so I won't go into much detail about that, but she just wasn't. And she couldn't see the beauty that was all around her. When I began to cultivate my own happiness, I can tell you my world became brighter. Colors became brighter. I started seeing the beauty in people. I just started seeing beauty everywhere because I was feeling beautiful inside. And it really does. It's like it takes blinders off. We wear, I say this in my, in the TEDx talk that I did, that sometimes we wear a cloak of negativity, and that cloak blinds us. But when you take that off, it's literally like a light is turned on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see differently.
Let's talk more about that, because I'm glad that you mentioned the TED Talk, because
and I do have to say, it's TEDx. There's a difference. TED Talk is a copyright, and TEDx is the local productions that are under the umbrella of TED, but they're two different things. So it's really important.
TEDx. Thank you. My bad.
No, it's okay. It's a trademark. TEDx is a part of TED, but it's each city's individual TED thing, as opposed to the larger TED organization. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, great. I love it.
For broadcasting, it's important that you specify that.
Learning something new right here, right now. It's great. So how does it feel? Because I know there are certainly people in my audience who have had experiences where they're like, I've learned something. I've got a message here. I feel that people could benefit from this. Talk to us about what it's like to go from knowing stuff within you, like you were figuring stuff out about the inner critic and how powerful it was to change the story. How do you go from there with that private experience to saying, I'm ready to get up on a stage, share my story? Like, you're very vulnerable in that talk. You really share a lot of your inner world, a lot of your own experiences. So how do you, I know you say one of your superpowers is that you charge through the fear, but how did you get from, I'm having all of these realizations, to like, get me on that stage, I need to spread my message?
I do believe that when we do our inner work, when we start to pay attention to what's going on in our inside, and we cultivate that, we are almost always inspired to tell somebody else, to help somebody else. It is something that's inherent in each one of us, because we're social creatures. We're meant to be helping each other out. We're not meant to be on our own. So when we have an epiphany and we take some knowledge that's out in the world and we apply it to our life, we start to recognize that my story might help your story. It might shorten your path.
Yeah.
So I went to TEDx Coeur d'Alene the first year that they had it was in 2016, and they had exercises and some fun stuff there. And one of them was they had a little soapbox, a little box that you could stand up during the break and you could say something. And I thought, so I stood up on this box during a break and I said, next year I'm going to be on the stage. And and I just thought, I just want to do this because there's so many people. I would ask people, are you happy with yourself? Can you look yourself in a mirror and say, I love you? And most people can't. They just can't. And I thought, okay, that's ridiculous. Our world's problems would be solved if we learned to love ourselves, period. And so I thought, I've just got to say something. So I did. And it was funny because I practiced because you don't have cards. You kind of speak off the cuff, you have to practice. And I was all prepared and I thought it was going to be great. And the night before TEDx, I got up to speak and I couldn't remember my words. And I got angry and I stomped off the stage and I was just like, I can't do this. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to tank. It's terrible. And one of the guys who was the sound guy just walked over and he said, just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. You're going to be fine. And so the next day when I got up to speak, I did just fine. And years later, not years, but a couple years later, I heard one of my mentors speak, a guy named Hal Elrod, who wrote a little book called The Miracle Morning.
I love that book.
Yeah. Well, Hal's truly, he's the most genuine person I know. But he said something that was important, and this is really important for your audience, for anybody who feels like they've got a story to tell, that they want to be of service to the world. He said, give up the need for perfection for the opportunity to be authentic.
Let's just allow you to drop the mic.
It's a beautiful thing. We get so caught up in saying, I want to help the person in front of me. I want to share my story because my story may make your journey easier. But we think, but who am I? Who am I? We get the imposter syndrome. Who am I to say words? Who am I to share my wisdom? One of the other things that happened that really turned me around, that made me decide I need to get out there and say something. I was at the I Can Do It conference in Pasadena, California, from Hay House Publishing. And I was listening to Dr. Wayne Dwyer. And Wayne Dwyer was great fun to listen to, but he loved quotes. And so he was always quoting, and his whole talk was like, it was like every other word was a quote. And I thought, wow, he's just rehashing other things, And then I realized, isn't that what teaching is? Teaching is where we learn something, we apply it to our own life, and then we share it from our experience. And as I said to you earlier, what Brenda Burchard said is that every message needs multiple messengers. So we take our experience, we take our knowledge, we apply it to our lives, and then we share it from our point of view, and somebody will resonate with it. Always.
This is so great, Kari, because there are people who are being held back from sharing their story in a speech or in a memoir because they think it's been done before. But I love the way you're saying you're taking a teaching and you're sharing your own individual experience of that teaching or of that principle. Because sure, we've heard the principle of love yourself, but we haven't heard your individual story that has you in front of the mirror, starting with, I like my eyes, I like my skin. So it's that personal account. And I love this idea. It's not about being a perfection. It's not about being perfect. It's about being authentic.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've run into people before and you listen to their talk and you almost want to roll your eyes and you think, no, I don't even want to listen to you because it's just not real. They're not authentic. And then you meet other people, you walk up and you just want to give them a hug and you think, oh my gosh, this is a sister or a brother in my soul. I just know it. When we are authentic, we are creating a connection that is far deeper than words and physical touch. It's a soul connection.
let's look a little bit, let's look a little more into this idea of authentic, because I think it's another example of that's a message we see like, hey, be authentic, but what's the actual practice of it? And I think it goes back to if we pull up that quote again, we're kind of on the inner tug. I
Mm-hmm.
began the process of learning, which started with an inner tug to be more than what I thought I was. And to me, that's how authenticity can come. It's like there's actually this thing that you're trying to be, it isn't a patch on who you actually truly are within you. So, can you tell us a little bit more about that inner tug and how we can begin to feel it and interpret it?
I think the key to finding your inner tug is to become aware.
Mm,
We tend to hang out in the future or we rehash the past. So we're rehearsing for the future, we're rehashing the past. When we really consciously try to stay as much as we can in the present, and it's tough, it's a practice, you got to really work on it. But when you're staying in the present, we get an intuitive hint, a tug. It's like, have you ever walked down the street and just thought, yeah, I don't want to go that way today. I think I'm going to go this way. And you'll never know what would have happened if you had gone the first way. But your intuition, this little inner tells you, yeah, you probably ought to go that way.
mm,
Or perhaps you have a feeling like you should call somebody and you call and they go, wow, I was just thinking about you.
mm-hmm,
That happens a lot. So when we become aware and just start trying to stay more present, then we can
mm,
hear our intuition, we can hear the tug. And your tug will say, you probably better not have one more drink. You probably should avoid that meal. You probably, why don't you go try to connect with that person?
mm.
You here's a silly example. You saw the talk that I did and you thought, I need to talk to her.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
what happens most of the time is we feel that and we don't act on it because
yeah.
we immediately go into our judgment. We immediately go into, they're going to think I'm silly if I reach out. They're going to
Mm,
wonder, what the heck are you doing? And it's not true. It's not true. When you follow your intuition, when you follow that tug, and for me, the tug was, I need to start learning to love myself.
mm,
And the tug was, I need to write my story. I haven't sold thousands and thousands of books like The Miracle Morning or something like that. I've sold some, and the people who have read it have said, this is what I needed to hear. So my job was to listen to my intuition and write my story.
yeah, yeah,
And your job is to listen and follow the intuition and
yeah.
that comes to you. And it's amazing when you start doing that, when you follow those little leads, those little things, serendipity happens, all sorts
Mm,
of things happen, and it's crazy, it's fun. And it
mm,
becomes almost a game. Well, what's life going to show me today? But it
yeah,
takes courage to follow your intuition. It takes courage to follow the tug
yeah.
because we have to get past the judge.
And I love that you mentioned the serendipity because it's like to me it sounds like a sense of a treasure hunt.
It is.
You know, you get this miniature reward, which to me is a replacement to what we might have got with that old behavior of not following the tug, that kind of quick fix validation of others, although we weren't being ourselves. So it's like we're getting this prize that says, you see, it's a great thing that you're choosing to listen to that sweet whistle within you. You see how much better life can be. How and it's interesting because you're talking about judgment. To me, that sounds like, the voice, like, don't do this, they're going to think you're an idiot. Whereas the tug sounds more like a visceral thing. So I'm wondering again if you could just add a little bit. So these people are like, oh, how do you know the difference? How do you know the difference if it's the voice that's the tug or it's the voice that's not the tug?
Love or fear? Is this tug coming from a place of love or is this coming from a place of fear? Our judgment comes
Love
from a
that.
place of fear. It comes from, he's going to think or she's going to think something of me, or I'm going to fail, or that is fear. That is fear. When we have the tug of, I need to connect with this person. I should probably take this job. I don't like to use should or must, because
Mm.
those are, I like to use, is this appropriate? But my litmus test is always, am I feeling fear, or is this feeling from love? Your intuition comes from your heart. It comes from your soul's connection to your heart, which is always trying to guide you on the most appropriate path for your life purpose. When you begin to follow that, it is always from a place of love. It feels from love. So the easiest way I can suggest is ask yourself the honest question: does this feel like love, or does this feel like fear?
That is so, and I'm just going to pop up Helen's comment. Thanks, Helen. So inspiring. Love the idea of the tug. Me too. I'm loving the tug, and I'm loving what you say about, is it a love tug or is it a fear tug? Like that really just makes it very understandable.
And let me just say this: if you really pay attention, the love tug feels like a tug. It feels like you're being pulled in
Yeah.
an inappropriate direction. The fear feels like you're being pushed.
Mm,
It's not a
yeah.
tug, it's a push.
Mm.
And it,
And your
yeah,
face was so different when you said, like, when you started to talk about the fear, like when you talk about the love tug, your face was open as soon as you started to talk about the fear tug. So like as soon as we're even talking about it, right, it starts to affect our physiology.
yeah, absolutely. This is something that I talk to my coaching clients about so strongly. Your words have power. Your words have
Mm.
power. So you and I have talked about money before, and I'm going to tug on this because this is a good one. But
Yeah.
this affects so many of us. When you're walking through life talking about how much you don't have, what you're lacking, et cetera, et cetera, you are creating an environment where your body is literally trying to go towards lack. It is being drawn towards lack. When you start to focus on gratitude for the abundance in your life, and note, I didn't say money. Money
Mm.
is simply an energetic exchange. When you start focusing on the abundance in your life, the warmth
Hmm.
of your house, the warmth of your clothes, whatever, you focus on the abundance in your life, then the serendipitous miracles of, finding coins on the ground, the sale at the store that you didn't even know was on sale, all
Yeah.
these little crazy things that are bringing more abundance into your life. The job opportunity that you weren't even looking for, the
Yeah.
random check. One of my coaching clients, I was trying to get her to switch from saying I need more money to being grateful for the abundance in her life. So she said all the way home she was going to practice being abundant, being happy with the abundance in her life. And she got home and there was a random check for $20 that she got. It was a refund on something that she wasn't expecting it. She texted me and she goes, "Look." And I said, it is miraculous. You send
Yeah.
that energy out in your words and your thoughts. And that's why being authentic, being happy is so important. It's not a mood, it's a way of being.
Mm. Yeah. We're being. Kari, like that half hour has just
I know.
gone
I just
by.
looked at the time and I went,
Like
what?
what? Yeah. I want to end on one thing though, because like I love how genuine, how honest you are, and I love what you talked about, that it didn't happen overnight. So for me, as a coach, I am every day looking at a new piece of my own personal development. So would you like to share with us? And it may be that you're not working on anything at the moment, but like anything that you're actively with yourself, your kind of your next stage of evolution as a beautiful soul. Like what is it that right now you're working on?
Well, I work two jobs, three jobs really. I take care of my family house and so forth. I do my coaching, which I really love, but I also work at a plant nursery. And it's interesting that you asked this question because I just got a new job within my plant nursery job, and it involves putting prices on the trees. And it's a complicated program. And for 2 days, I was just overwhelmed. I was literally just overwhelmed with, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And I can't figure it out and blah, blah, blah. And I started the whole story of I'm not good enough. It just
Yeah,
rushed right back in. And I was like, what
yeah,
the heck? And because I'm really practicing daily staying aware, I went, oh, I'm falling into a pattern. It's an old pattern and it's not right. I can tag one tree at a time. That's all I can do. And I just stopped. So that continual, you know, those stories that we've told ourselves our whole lives, those habits, they hang out back here. You know, anybody who's ever smoked will tell you they can't ever, if they quit, they pick up a cigarette and they're right back at it again. Same thing as with our habitual patterns. They're there. Mine are they'll always be there, but I've learned to be aware of them. So that's what I'm working on, is reminding myself, I've got this, one thing at a time.
And it's that ability to just be like, oh, I see. It just came in. Like I just opened the door for it. It just popped back in. I just
it takes the power away from it.
Yeah. Claire, thank you. So many gems. I'm passionate about the power of sharing your stories. Yeah. So working on the inner critic. Thank you so much, Claire. You're so right, Kari, taking the power, because if you're not self-aware, the I'm not good enough is just there, and you're being that I'm not good enough person, versus like, oh, this is a story, but from like way back then, not like you said, in this present moment right now, I just need to do one tag, one tree. I'm good enough to do that.
It's funny. Hug. This has been such a pleasure, Gabriela. Such a pleasure. And to all your audience, know that you're enough. You're beautiful and you are loved.
That's gotten me a little tearful. My audience knows I do get a little teary-eyed. I'm not shy about that. I love the big emotion within me. But yeah, that definitely got me tearful. Kari, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And I will have to have you back, because like we have literally just, with your wisdom, we have literally just kind of scratched the surface. So yeah, we will definitely have you back.
I would love to come back. Thank
you so much for being here. And everyone, thank you so much for your comments as well. Thanks for engaging. Thanks for joining in the chat. Take care. Take care, Kari.
Bye now.